Welcome back to Reading with John. Today we're going to continue in chapter 1 of Margie and the Wild Dogs. If you don't have a copy, pick one up, read along. And if so far you like what you see, please subscribe to our Facebook channel. Where we left off, let me just see this. We left off at page 10. Again, I'll be reading off my iPad. So we're going to start in chapter 1, page 10. And we left off where Trevon screeched, "You wimps, you wimps." So I'm going to continue from that point. Trevon screeched, "Wimps. You're a bunch of wimps." Trevon was an unconstrained buckaroo, causing havoc when given the opportunity. His nickname was Pitts. This was because he carried a bag of green olives, spitting the pits out of unsuspecting victims. Pitts picked up the iron lever and he challenged the mighty wall. Let's remember the object here is they're trying to get over the golden wall. So now it's Pitts' time. So he picks up the iron lever and challenged the mighty wall. He screamed, "God, give me strength." Then swinging it like a baseball bat, he landed a titanic blow. To his astonishment, the crowbar bounced off the wall. The bar flew out of his hands and sent everybody running. They all ran in different directions, taking cover from the aiming crowbar. Jose, who had defied all odds as an orphan living in the shanty, was a special friend to everyone in town. His concerns about foster homes, they had no warrant to the townspeople. Jose let out a screech as the crowbar flew inches over his head and landed on the ground. He picked up the cold, lifeless metal bar and threw it against the wall, hollering, "What the heck do we do now?" The group then crouched in a huddle on the dirt floor, tossing about ideas on what to do next. Continue on with their prized undertaking and dream of discovering the mystery behind the wall? Or drag their wimpy, useless, fruitless selves back to town as losers? They concluded that the crowbar method wasn't working, but they feared any thought of giving up. They began to walk around the wall, hoping to find another way to get in. Observing bushes with thistles and thorns hedged up against the next section of the wall, they thought that this may be a way of getting in. The plan was to stay close together and protect each other from the thorns. The bushes were stinging and stabbing as they were ducking and squatting, trying to avoid contact with them. Pitts took a bold move and tried a fast-paced run, bolting from the line. As he ran through the weeds, a thorn bush grabbed hold of his back and ripped through his shirt and into his flesh. As they parted that section of the wall and into an open area, Pitts removed his torn shirt. A riveted, nasty scrape lined his left lower back to his right upper shoulder. Pitt's bucking attitude was on full display for all to see as he cursed up a prayer storm, which included the words, "Mother Mary of God." Margie calmed Pitts down with a few pleasantries about his bravery. Then she and Skittles plucked the tiny thorns from his back. The others were preoccupied searching for another way into the forbidden zone. When it became obvious that defeat was their destiny, Margie sarcastically said, "Why not just climb over the wall?" She went on to explain the technique of building a human ladder. Within minutes, the excitement built as they looked and sounded like circus clowns playing with building blocks, as Lucas volunteered to become the anchor for the human ladder. Skittles climbed up and stood on top of Lucas's shoulders. Pitts was then lifted by Margie and Jose onto the shoulders of Skittles. In agonizing pain, the boys shouted to Margie and Jose to hurry up. Jose made his way up the ladder, kicking and slapping all the way. Margie was the final piece of the ladder, as all cried out in pain once again, "Hurry up!" It was a shaky climb, but Margie quickly scurried up to the top. They were pressed tightly against the wall just before the human ladder began to shake. Margie was only a few inches from the top of the wall, but she couldn't reach. So Jose grabbed her by her ankles and lifted her the final few feet. Margie hadn't given any thought as to what she would do once she reached the top, but she struggled and finally made it. Seconds later, she was left dangling from the 20-foot wall as the Wild Dog's ladder collapsed, sending everyone except Margie straight to the ground. She could hear hysterical laughter and moaning from the Wild Dogs below, but resisted herself from laughing out of fear that she would lose concentration and tumble to the earth. So there Margie hung, high in the air, with her hands begging for relief. Due to the mounting pressure her body placed on those tiny little fingertips, her legs and feet desperately crawled towards the top of the wall. She made it. Her legs and feet were now able to pull the rest of her body up to the top. Once on top, she stretched out on the wall looking like a flying Supergirl. As she laid on the wall top, she listened as the Wild Dogs cheered her on from below. It took a few minutes before her nerves settled down. She then turned her focus towards the opposite side to see what was beyond the wall. Perceiving the danger, Margie didn't want to move her body in fear of rocking herself right off the wall top. Although she tingled with fear, the preoccupation of looking down at the landscape amazed her. She was a spectator observing hundreds of gold-tethered trucks littering the humongous lot. Many of the trucks were piled one on top of the other. Cranes, flatbeds, street sweepers, bulldozers, 18-wheeler trucks, along with an army of discarded golden railroad ties. Whispering from her breath, she said, "I will name this place the Golden Graveyard." Now her task was to figure out how to get off the wall and down into the graveyard without killing herself. As her eyes searched back and forth, she believed her fate was to be stuck up there for hours. Determined to get down, she noticed two of the large flatbed trucks, sandwiched one on top of the other, positioned just below her. Her plan was to hang on the top and then drop down onto the truck closest to her. When she was finally about to make her move, she took a deep breath and whispered, "Yabba-dabba-doo," as she shimmied her body off the top of the wall. She was now left dangling by her fingertips, looking for the courage to let go. After what seemed like an eternity hanging there, she regretted her decision and shimmied her way back up to the top. Retaking her Supergirl position, she once again was laying flat on her stomach on the top of the Golden Wall. Only this time, she was frozen in fear and not able to look down or speak to the wild dogs. That is the end of chapter 1. I will continue chapter 2 when we meet again. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, send me a message to the messenger thingy down there. And if you don't have the book, you can pick it up on Amazon and you can read along. The next chapter is chapter 2. It's called The Tomb. And as of we leave Margie now, she is up on the wall top, stuck, in panic, in fear, and her friends are down below trying to figure out what are they going to do. How do we get Margie from the top of the wall safely down to the other side? So join me next week. Join me next time. I don't know if it's a week or if it's 2 weeks, a month. Meanwhile, God bless all of you and have a great day.